I've been joined by Liz Owen from Access in St Neots. She's back from a Christmas break, refreshed and full, I'm sure, of ideas and enthusiasm for the year ahead in trying to make St Neots more accessible for all residents.
Absolutely. Back with a vengeance.
So what are you up to at the moment?
I have various little bits at the moment. I don't have a big project, but the little things are the really important ones at the moment. So the project doorbell's still ongoing. I've just taken another sign to one and been messaging a couple of businesses who are interested in having one as well. So that's still going on. But I guess the newer things are tackling the new shops that have opened on the high street, at the top end of the high street where Britain's was, and also looking more into the kind of building regulations and things like that, which is not easy when you don't really have any legal background, but it's something I'm determined to look into this year because it's nice to see lots of people going into the empty buildings and empty shops, which is amazing. But not when they take away access, which was there before, which is my biggest bugbear. Yeah, so that's kind of on the card at the moment.
Right, let's start with Project Doorbell. I think you had was it between 10 and a dozen of these last year. What is Project Doorbell?
So it's funded by Access in St Neots, which was subsequently funded by the town council, and it's to have just a wireless doorbell and a sign at the front entrance of the shop for businesses that can't accommodate a ramp or don't have the space inside for people to go in, and it's just to kind of show people that you're willing to make reasonable adjustments, which by law you have to, but also it just makes you feel a bit more welcome. They've been distributed, and I think I've only got one left, or maybe two, and so I fully intend to put a little map together of where all these doorbells are, because I think people have been asking for that. So
it doesn't cost the business anything, does it? All they have to do is have it fitted on their wall with a sign. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, it's free. I actually had a few people last year say, well, why are these businesses not paying for it themselves? And I said, well, it's because originally no one was interested, but now the word's getting around and the first 10 have been free. I mean, they don't cost a lot anyway, but if it means that more people can access shops, then, if the shop really does refuse to spend, 20 quid on a doorbell, then I will do my best to help. But Access in St Neots has not got any income, so it'll be out of my own pocket.
So you've got, basically, there are 9 or 10 now shops in St Neots that have got doorbells, and these are probably shops which aren't necessarily accessible per se, but with a doorbell, at least you can draw attention to people and get people to them. That's the whole point,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Exactly. And all of the shops that have them are aware that they need to provide a doorstep kind of service, whether it's phoning them up before you go and collecting something, or whether you can just ring the bell when you get there and say, what you want, and they'll go into the shop and get it for you and you pay at the door and that kind of thing. So they're all very willing to be part of it. Some of the shops are accessible. It's just that the doors are very either heavy or you need help getting inside, and that way you just press the bell and they come and hold the door open for you or help you in or whatever you need. So it's really helped me. I certainly make use of them.
You have to go around to these businesses, so you've got to be a saleswoman as well, haven't you? Well, you're not selling it, but you're providing it.
No.
But still, I mean, in general terms, though, are businesses amenable to meeting you?
The majority, yeah, I'd say 80% are definitely absolutely thrilled and definitely want one. A few are a bit tentative because they have landlords to deal with, and I completely understand that, sometimes landlords, even though it's just a bell, they're, not willing, or some of the buildings I've come across have listed, so they want to kind of have their own doorbell because of the look of the building and also the regulations with listed buildings. But there's been one or two who've categorically told me we're not interested and we're happy with how we are, and which means that they're happy that they're inaccessible, which for me is frustrating because it does break the law. I mean, they haven't made any reasonable adjustments, and there's a couple of businesses that have been like that, but it is a bit of a losing battle with those, so I kind of just focusing on the ones that I can win at the moment.
My guest is Liz Owen from Access in St Neots, enthusiastic campaigner for all things to try and help our disabled residents, and she's notched up some notable successes over the past couple of years. It's been a hard slog, it's fair to say. Now, there are a batch of new shops opening in St Neots. This is good news, but bad news, Liz.
Yeah, it's always good to see a shop filled and not an empty shop. That's great. But originally, when we saw the shops being renovated, we were like so excited. And then some of them are still empty, I have to say that. And one or two of them are completely, they're very hard to be accessible. That end of the high street has been widened on the pavement on the Marks and Spencer side. The other side hasn't really. So the shops that have got large steps, if you were to put a ramp down, it wouldn't be wide enough on the pavement. So that kind of thing is understandable. However, 3 of the shops so far, the doors have been put in. They weren't previously any doors there. They've basically put in a step, which baffles me because it was previously level with the pavement, so you could get in quite easily. For me, it's about the access, and looking into it, it's just crazy that they seem to have just put in steps. And it's not, when you look at it and you're not a wheelchair user, you might think, oh, it's not a very big step, but actually kind of about an inch high is quite a lot. If you're in a powered wheelchair or you're, with a rollator, you can't get in the shop, and there's no reasonable adjustments we've made, like at all. There's no visible, actually in the shops are quite big, so you could actually get in there, but there's no doorbell, there's no signs. It's just,
It must be frustrating because you have had a visibility for access in St Neots. You have spoken at length to planners, the district council, councillors, county council, you name it. When they're planning new shops, and as I say, great to have new shops, but it must be frustrating in this day and age that they've managed to actually take away access from a door that was accessible to add in a few doors that aren't accessible. And how does that happen?
I don't know. I think it's crazy they're getting away with it. My mission is to look into that more because I've done so much research with particularly these 3 shops at the moment, because they're not owned by anyone local. You have to pass a certain amount of regulations. So all the information anyone can look at, it's on the HDC website for the planning applications. Anyone can go on there and look, and it's got all the applications, and they've had, environmental health checks and health and safety checks because they're putting flats above the shops. So they've been checking noise pollution and all of that. But there's not been an access audit or check at all. And I'm pretty sure one of the building regulations says that, they have to make some kind of checks, because not only is it for the public, but it's also for the image of the business and staff. So if in the future you want to recruit, then you're basically saying, well, if you're a wheelchair user or of lesser mobility, then, you're not going to be able to come and work for us, which is another thing that's in the regulations. But I feel like it is a national problem, but I feel that potentially HDC could put some kind of bylaw in there or something that when people apply for planning permission, they say, well, if it's fine, yes, but you must put reasonable adjustments in for access. And they won't then be able to open unless they've ticked that box. I mean, it seems so simple, but there's tons and tons of legal stuff around all of that. But yeah, it just seems crazy to me that that's still being fought for in 2025.
Somehow, planners at Hunting District Council have not taken this on board.
I was on it straight away as soon as I heard the
what did they say?
Before Christmas. Well, I've had one response. I've emailed probably about 10 of them, because on the planning applications, it just tells you all the email addresses. So again, it's something that anyone can find out, and including our local councillors as well, because they obviously have a bit of a say in it. The only response has been from our friend Mr. Ferguson, who completely agreed with me and said this is terrible that this has happened, but then that's been it. So I will intend on prodding them again, but I just think, wow, okay, they, and it wasn't a very short email. It was quite long, quoting many building regulations and legal stuff. It's not like I'm just having a moan at them. I have told them this, but yeah, it's trying to get listened to, really. It just needs to be people power again. Enough people need to be on it as well, not just me. If more people would question HDC over this, because after all, it is a planning permission thing. It's not something that the town council have much say on, and it's nothing else really. It's just getting in there.
My guest today is Liz Owen from Access in St Neots. On a personal note, I saw on social media that you took a lot of incoming from people who thought that you were having a go at one particular business. And I know that this upset you quite badly, didn't it? It had quite a negative effect on your mental health and also on your well-being. For the benefit of listeners who weren't aware, what exactly happened and what was the effects? The people sometimes don't realise when they have a go at people on social media, the effects that it has on people.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously well known through social media. It's a bit of a minefield, and, celebrities and things get this as well. You could get hundreds and hundreds or thousands or millions of nice comments, and you get that one negative, nasty comment, and that's the one that stays with you. And although, there was kind of people are defensive about businesses and places that they like, it was mostly surrounding a map that I did, which was on my advent calendar for Access and St Neots, a very, very basic draft of something that I'd just gone on Google, taken screenshots of the high street, and then plotted, which is something people have been asking me to do for ages, which shops are accessible and which aren't. And it was a very basic kind of colour-coded yes, no, and that is accessible, but it's not obvious it's accessible. And that the intention with that is then develop it with people that do digital stuff and have links to, pictures of the shops and all that kind of thing is in the future. But the first thing people kind of honed in on were, why is it coloured? Because colourblind people won't understand it. And I was just like absolutely floored, because I thought, wow, okay. I mean, that's never... Obviously, colourblindness is a disability, but it's not been flagged up with me before. I'm certainly no expert. And if it was anything to do with that, I would have sought expert help before publishing it, and will do if this map makes print or any further things. But I was just shocked at how negative people were. People were obviously shocked by how many shops aren't accessible, so that had a good impact. But it's usually, if I'm posting within Access and St Neots, and then everyone on there is there because they want to be there. But it's when I venture out onto the Facebook pages of St Neots that are open to everyone. Yeah, one or two people were a little bit sceptical.
I thought people were trying to score points off you. That's what it appeared, which was made it shocking. Now, this was a draft map, but you put it out there for information. You wanted information from people saying, this is what's going on. Can you help us? Can you add to this? What you got back was a load of people saying, well, it's green. I had the feeling that if they were really genuinely that concerned about it, or if they were indeed colourblind, they would have actually got in touch with you privately, or would have got in touch and said, by the way, Liz, you try to include everyone, but... And I think it's as simple as that. And this is the pitfall that people have these days. It is a minefield, and you trod right through the middle of it. I'm sure that you were as horrified as anyone else that you were being accused of slighting people which you've worked for years and years to try and help, on the one hand, but B, you took so much then negativity from people who kept coming back at you, and I think that had quite a profound effect on you, didn't it, for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely unnecessary. It was ring-led by one person mostly, but especially as they don't really know me, they see like the access side of things and the kind of fighting for access, but they forget people are human. And especially when they decided to rant and not back down, but kind of in 2-3 o'clock in the morning be bombarding Facebook with quite nasty comments and snide comments and claiming that I had no idea what I was doing, which obviously this is someone who isn't disabled as well, I should point out. And I just kind of took it offline because I just was like, I don't really feel that this is going anywhere.
Well, it's not like you were saying, this is bad, this business is bad. You were basically saying, this is a map, how can we help them, or whatever. It was as simple as that.
Yeah, you're completely right. And especially as I made a point to them that, if I was including everything, there would have been large print versions and a braille version, and, Access and St Neots is encompassing all disabilities. And and it's interesting because in the past there have been other issues with this, and I think it's always the people who don't have lived experience are the first to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, well, this isn't a real problem, and I've had this and that, and I know someone who's this has happened to. And I think I will 100% sit down and listen to someone who's got lived experience who might not agree, but if they're just there to cause problems or cause an argument, then good luck to them in the future, because I don't think that they're going about things the right way. But and it's taken a while for me to kind of think, is it worth doing? Because it's draining for that to happen, and to then distract from all the negative stuff and go back to the positive stuff, which is now what I'm doing. And, you know, the map will be on my website in draft version. I might probably have to put a disclaimer underneath it. All the advent calendar posts are on there because people love them, and that was the focus of it. And yeah, just a shame that the people who thought to comment negatively weren't following Access and St Neots to see all the other positive stuff that we've done as well.
Your advent calendar had, I think, 10,000 views or something, didn't it? Was it more than that?
It was a lot. It was great, and a lot of fun to do. A lot of planning. Like, although I kind of pre-planned it all, it took me hours to do each one because I had to think carefully about what you're saying, because again, if you say something about someone's disability or anything like that, then you know you'll be lynched. So
I guess the problem is you have become known as a figurehead for the disabled people and speaking out on disability issues. Even that, bizarrely, you set yourself above as a tall poppy to get cut. You know, I know this sounds horrific, but that's the way that the nature of it. And I know, you know, we've got to know each other, you know, quite well over the last 18 months or so. And I know the things that a small insight into the things you face away from all this. So you have your own health issues, you have family issues, you know, all the normal things that people have. And I know from just having messages and things, see if you're okay, that you weren't okay. It took a lot out of you. You know, I know you won't give up, but, you know, I sense that it absolutely knocked for six. But it's taken you a couple of weeks to get you back to the Liz that, you know, we know and love, you know, because of just some thoughtless comments on a social media page.
Yeah, I think it goes to show that you never know what someone's going through. Like, things like mental health is not something where you wear a label walking around and everyone can see. So I think just be nice to people, because just one or two words can really affect them and set them back. And I'm lucky that I've got a good support network. I'm on top of knowing my triggers, and yes, I've got mental health and physical health issues and stuff, but I think it's important that if someone is clearly being targeted, then just stop. You don't know, because it makes me mad that people can not only attack people with physical disabilities, but also you just don't know what they're going through behind the scenes. So, like, you know, just be nice.